life doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go all the time. Hello. I am gonna get ready for a dinner date with one of my good friends, and I figured this might be a nice time for you to see how I get ready, but also to answer some of your questions, because I think about 2 months ago I asked you guys to ask me some questions because I felt like it's a big sis advice kind of moment, and I'm not sure how good my advice is gonna be, but I figured I can just give you what I've learned so far. I am 28 for those that don't know, so I've lived quite a few years in my 20s, and most of these questions were about living in your 20s. So let's get ready and answer some questions. So there were like 2 questions that felt like they had a similar vibe to them. One was feeling stuck, stagnant in my early 20s, don't know what, where, and how to start. And the other one had something along the same lines as what did you learn in your 20s and what do we upcoming must know, because she was 23 or she is 23 and she was feeling stressed for so many things in my life going uncertain. So the question is basically what can we expect in our 20s, and people are feeling uncertain about their early 20s and not knowing how to navigate it. Have my thoughts on that. So I guess in order for me to give like a little bit of advice about my early 20s, it might be nice to know how I lived my early 20s. When I turned 20, I actually started college or uni, however you want to call it. And that is actually quite late for someone like me, because normally you get out of high school around your 18th at the latest if you do like the highest level of education, which I did do the highest level of education, but at 18 I wasn't able to kind of pass my exams because I was just not used to having these very long exams. So I actually at 18 failed my exams, then at 19 I failed my exams again, and then at 20 I passed my exams, but like in a lower level. But I did pass my exams and I started college I think at 20, between 20 and 21. So that's my early 20s. I started college, which is something that people normally around they're 22, they're finished with college. So I'm not sure in which level you guys are right now, but for me, that's my early 20s. I started going to college, and then college was pretty easy for me because I did like in high school have like a higher education, and then I went to a lower level college. So everything that I learned in the first 2 years from college was something that I already knew from high school. So college was actually very easy for me to navigate, which also meant that I didn't have a lot of homework to do because I already knew the stuff. So I could just like spend my free time however I wanted. What I did in my early 20s is that I went to school, and that was like, as I said, quite easy. And then in my free time, I just hung out with my friends a lot, and I worked. I worked a part-time job. I worked in a restaurant, which at the time was a really good paying job. And I think it was a lot of fun, but it also kept me more in the fun part of my life rather in the serious part of my life. And that's something that I came to realize, I think around 23, 24. That's when I almost had to graduate, because I was just like playing around, going out, doing fun stuff, which I definitely don't regret. I traveled a lot. I made sure to travel a lot while I was studying because I had the time and I had the opportunities and I had the money at the time because I was living at home, so I could just travel and do whatever I wanted. This is definitely something about me, is that I'm very adventurous, so I make sure to always like keep my life fun, do things that I really love to do. And if I look back on my early 20s, I definitely don't regret spending that much money. But if we also look at my future, if at that time I knew how much money I had spent and if I had saved all that money, I would probably been financially like super stable at this point, which I am still very stable because I did always make sure that I had money. But if I had saved a lot, then it would have even been better, if you get what I mean. But would I recommend being less adventurous and going less out of your way to do fun stuff with your friends or for yourself in order to save money? No. Do it in like a balanced way. Like balance how much am I spending on fun stuff and how much am I saving on the side. But definitely save some money. We're gonna go for a light makeup look, by the way, because this is just a little dinner date at a ramen shop, and I'm not gonna be like fully in glam just to go to a ramen shop. So nothing crazy. Something else about my early 20s, and I guess that's where you guys are feeling like unsure about where to go is the moment that you kind of like finish either college or when you're just working. Like, what are you gonna do? Or when you're in between, I'm about to finish college and I'm gonna work. So how that went for me is I actually finished college when I was 24, and that's when I had to start working. And I studied international business and management studies, which has a very broad kind of education, and you can go into 4 different directions. You can either go into like marketing, supply management, finance, or what was the 4th one? Something else very obvious. And I had always set my mind on being a finance girly. I was like, when I started to study, I'm gonna be a finance girly. Watch me be a finance girly when I finish my studies, when I graduate, and that will be it for me. Life doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go all the time, and we need to know how to navigate through that. And that's something that you definitely have to like let yourself know in your early 20s. Life doesn't have to go like this. Life can go like this, and you can get somewhere still, even though you're at the time not sure. Because I did a minor in finance, and for some reason that finance minor totally put me off on the idea of being a finance girly. Like, I met some toxic people and I was like, I feel like this is kind of how my life is gonna be for the rest of my life, and I just don't want that for myself. So I decided right then, right there, finance is not gonna be the thing for me. And instead of stressing about what else is gonna be the thing for me, I just let it go. I was just like, I'm just gonna focus on finishing my studies, and then I'll figure it out. It's fine. Like, I don't need to know right now. I don't need to have like everything set right now. I know that if I'm gonna do something else, I will be able to do it, because that's the mindset that I want to have. I want to have the mindset that if I'm gonna choose to do something that's not related with my studies, I know how to like navigate with that. And the only reason that I could have that mindset is because I knew that I have like people around me that know how to like help me, guide me, and do that with me. So that's something else that's very important to know when you're like still in high school, or like when you start going to college, is that having a lot of friends is fun. That was never me. I never had a lot of friends. Having a lot of friends might be fun, but make sure that you keep the right people around you. The people that like are supportive of who you are not jealous of who you are people that also are like kind of like slightly ambitious in their life, so they can be ambitious with you when you want to like explore something. And for me that helped a lot, because one of my friends actually helped me into the job and the everything that I am right now. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been doing what I do right now, which is being a Mendix developer / consultant, because he was at the time. And where my story is going. So basically, when I finished university, I had no idea what I was gonna do. So I didn't know what I would have to apply for. But I didn't apply right away for a job. So that's kind of a luxury, because I lived at home with my parents. I had the luxury to not right away go and find a job. And I also don't have parents that would have pushed me to go and find a job, because I did like work a part-time job anyway. So they knew like she's gonna make her money and she's gonna figure out what she wanna do. So what I did, instead of going and try to find a job right away and try to figure out what I wanted, I just said, okay, no, I'm finished with my studies, and now I'm gonna do my dream trip to the US, which I did. Not sure if you guys were with me back then, but I went to New York, San Francisco, and LA, and it was like my big dream trip after I finished my studies. I met so many amazing people. I met friends, and those friends are still my friends till this day, and I like occasionally see them. So after I returned from my trip, it was like Christmas and stuff. So I was like, I'm not gonna go out of my way try to find a job during this holiday season, because it's gonna be booked and busy, and I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let it go for a little bit. And I'm not sure if that affected my personal life or not, because I was actually in a relationship with my ex-boyfriend, and I'm not sure if he was like kind of starting to question where I was gonna go with my life, because I was like not finding a job, and I was just trying to put me before anything else first. So I actually did break up with him in January. And I'm not sure if this whole job thing actually affected that, but yeah, just like a little side note of what happened with my personal life while I was trying to figure out all the stuff that I am, all the stuff that I did. So in January, I started like looking at options, talking to my friends, like, what are you guys doing? What should I do? Because most of my friends actually also did the same studies as me, which is funny. Most of my friends and family are all consultants. I really look up to my sister, and my sister is also a consultant. So I was like, I like your type of work, your type of job. You did the same studies as me. Isn't that something for me to explore? Because she's a consultant, she had like a car to go everywhere to. She had like her 9 to 5, and I don't know, it just seemed like something that I was interested in as well. So I just started like asking around to my friends, what are you guys doing? And is that something for me? Because I'm the type of person that kind of like, if I get taught the right way, I will pick up really easily, and then I will just be able to figure it out. And I know that about myself. So that's also important. Like, in your early 20s, do you know yourself? And I definitely knew myself at that point, in how I was at that point, and I definitely grew a lot more throughout the years up till how I am right now, because back then I was actually pretty childish still. But I started just asking around, and then I had this one friend, and he was doing the Mendix consultant thing, and I was talking to him. I was like, okay, so what are you doing, and do you think that might be something for me? And he was like, this is totally something that you could do. It's low code, you don't have to have the technical background. They also actually like people that do business. So I just started like piecing stuff together, like, okay, I have a business background, he's doing low code, he said that I can also do that if I have a business background, because you're still a consultant, so you need to know how to like do business basically, or how to like communicate with the client. So I started looking into that option, and that actually like did it for me basically. He suggested me some companies that I could apply for, and I applied for one of those companies. That's the only company that I actually ended up going for a how do you call it, job interview for. And that's the place that I'm still working at right now, and I love my job. It suited me really well. They had like a boot camp at the start of the job where you're already getting paid, but they're gonna like teach you how to do the job basically. So you start at a junior position. I had a boot camp for 5 weeks, and then once I finished the boot camp, I was ready to be put on client projects basically. So that's the kind of job that I ended up getting, and that also gave me a lot of financial stability, because I was still living at my parents, and I started earning a full-time job, and I started working full-time because I had nothing in my life going on anyway, so there was no point for me to work less than the 40 hours that you can make. So I just started working a full-time job, still living with my parents. And that's also when COVID happened. So literally the second I started my job, COVID happened. So I started my job from home, which was totally fine for me because I'm a student. I'm used to being at home. I'm used to doing work at home. Like, you do your homework at home, you study for your test at home. So when I started my job at home, I was totally fine with that. I started in my room. I didn't even have a desk. I was like sitting like I'm right now behind my drawer, and this was my table for my job. And that's how I navigated it. And the thing about your early 20s is that it might feel unsure, but it's fully, in my opinion, it's fully a mindset on how you navigate it. Like, are you gonna like let it affect you and make you even feel more insecure about your future? Or are you gonna be like, okay, this is the state that I'm in right now, and I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work somehow, somewhere. I'm gonna like start doing some little things to piece together what do I want in life and how do I want to navigate that. And the most important thing about that is that you're not gonna let outside influences pressure you into thinking that you have to be a certain way, do a certain way, because that's definitely something that you learn in your 20s, is that you are your own person. So you don't want to do something that other people tell you to do, basically. And you also don't want to end up somewhere that you're not happy with because someone told you that's something that you should do. Follow your own intuition, do what you want to do in life, and it will figure out for you. Like, it will work out for you. That's what I mean. If your current circle is like not very inspiring to you, which might be the case, then also don't worry about that, because not every friend has to be someone that inspires your life or has to be like uplifting you in your life. Just make sure that they are the right people, and then you just go and figure it yourself out. Like, just how you guys are asking me these questions, maybe you can find someone outside of your circle to get this information from. It doesn't have to be someone directly connected to you. But the best thing that you can do is basically learn by talking to others that have already lived this life. Just like how you guys are asking me, I've lived this life, this is how I felt about it. But everyone experienced it in a different way. Everyone is going to have a different story, and the more stories you hear, the more you start piecing together, like, these are all options, this is how it can be. There's like many lines that you can follow throughout your life. Which one is the one for you? Or you create your own line to walk on. So that's just not one way to navigate through life. And also one thing that is like, maybe, I don't know, for me it's just, it clicks. But if you're feeling very anxious and you drink a lot of coffee, I would just like say stay away from the caffeine a little bit, because in my opinion, a lot of people that around me has said that they like are feeling anxious like from day to day. They drink a lot of coffee, and I get very anxious when I drink coffee. So I barely drink coffee unless I really have to. So I just stay away. I try to stay away from that heavy caffeine. And that's why I can kind of like keep my chill, because someone also asked me, you seem so calm, how do you do it? I don't really get stressed, so that's definitely like on one side a personality thing. But I also don't like to feed myself with like energy drinks and caffeine and all that. I like to have my occasional matcha because it keeps me awake, but that doesn't really affect me. That doesn't really like make me anxious. I also make sure to get enough sleep. Sleep is very important. And if you are like someone that cannot fall asleep very easily, also look at your diet. Look at how you're living your day-to-day life. Is something affecting it for me to not be able to sleep? For me, that's definitely caffeine. If I drink like a Coke, even a Coke has caffeine. If I drink a Coke during dinner, I know I'm not gonna sleep well, because the Coke is gonna be in my system, and I know that I'm gonna be awake at like 2 a.m. and I'm gonna be like, why am I not tired? And then I know it's because I drank that Coke during dinner, so I played myself, which is fine during the weekend, but during the week, I need to be serious. I need to be on my game. I need to be like sleeping well and then working my job so I can like be full of energy. I think my makeup is done. I need to start looking for an outfit that I want to wear. I don't want to do anything like too drastic, because we're just gonna go to a ramen shop, and I'm probably also gonna put my hair in like a, what do you call it, a bun. Because if you're gonna eat ramen, you're gonna be like bent forward, and if you're gonna do the loose hair, it's just gonna like be all up in your food. But I'm not gonna do this here. I'm gonna do this when I'm at the restaurant, because I'm gonna go and drive there. And if you're gonna drive with this hair clip in, it appears that if you get like an accident, the hair clip like bashes your head. So that's another tip that we don't want. Let's go and look for an outfit while I answer more of the questions that you guys have. I have decided we're gonna go for an all black fit, because we're gonna eat ramen, and if you eat ramen, your clothes are gonna get dirty, and it's also super rainy outside, so I don't want to like be in skirts, dresses, whatever. Yeah. So another question is, how important is money? And that's a funny question, because let's be real, we cannot really survive in this world without money, but it's definitely not the ultimate goal. So for me, I'm not like trying to race against the clock, tire myself out fully just to make a coin. I do love to make a coin, and I do aspire to be making a coin, but definitely not in the sense that you don't have a social life anymore. You cannot do anything fun anymore. You're occupied with your work. And that's also something that people tend to forget in their 20s. They're like, no, because now I'm young and I can work the hours, and I don't mind working hours and missing out on the social life. And then I think later on, when you will be like around 40, you'll be like, I missed out on all these opportunities that I could have had when I was in my 20s to live my best life. So I feel like there definitely has to be a balance. And for me, there's an extreme balance. Work-life balance is everything to me. So I work my 9 to 5. I make sure that I have my vacations occasionally when I need to. And that's how I keep life fun for me. Because if I don't have my adventures, I'm just not gonna be happy. I just know that. And I'm currently very happy because I have exciting trips coming up. And that's the only thing that keeps me going in life, to be honest. So yes, money is important, but let it not consume your entire life. And this is for me very privileged to say, obviously. The camera got cut off, but this is the outfit that I'm gonna wear. And what I was saying about the whole money situation is that it is basically very privileged of me to have like a really well work-life balance. And this is of course not compared to people that actually have to work around the clock to be able to even afford living. So definitely coming from a privileged place is that I can say that money is not important compared to me trying to stay sane and live a little bit besides that. So this is basically the outfit, just a black off-shoulder top with some white straight leg pants. Super comfy. And now I'm gonna go get flowers for my friend because it was his birthday 2 weeks ago, so it's basically a tiny birthday celebration as well, and I want to give him flowers because that's my love language for my friends. And I've been doing that ever since I turned like 25 or something. I felt like I'm feeling more grownish, and when I celebrate someone, I like to give them flowers now. People deserve their flowers. I love flowers myself, and I feel like that's just a very cute, thoughtful gift because I also pick out the flowers myself and make a bouquet out of it. But today I'm gonna go to another flower shop and see what kind of flowers they have, and if I can also make my own or if I have to buy a bouquet. But even the bouquets looked super, super beautiful. So let's go and do that. Look, these are already so pretty. But they have a whole shop. They have a whole shop. Beautiful flowers. And you can also make your own inside, I guess. Love this. We've secured the flowers. Let's go. Okay, so I arrived in the area where we're gonna have dinner, and this is a place that I've never been to before, and it was so hectic just now because I was driving the car, and I guess it's like a street with all stores and stuff, so it was like very hectic with all cars going every way. And then right in front of the restaurant there was a spot that just came free because a car just left that spot, but in the opposite direction there were also cars. So right as I was approaching that spot, someone else came in and swooped it up. So I had to go all around the block, and it's apparently very busy here. I don't know what it is, but it's super busy, so all parkings were like taken. And then I did end up finding one, which I am in right now, and my friend is actually not here yet. He's a little bit delayed, so I figured I'm gonna finish some of the questions that you guys asked me. So something someone else asked me was, how do you actually get to know people and make friends as an adult when you are totally new to a place? And this is actually something that I struggle with and that I'm pretty open about, that I'm an introvert. I don't make friends that easily, and most of the friends that I have made are from social media, which are actually some of my best friends. But the only reason that I can actually make friends through social media is because I am a creator and I'm on social media, and I'm like pretty active. So that kind of like is an easy way to attract girlfriends, at least. But that's not a given. I have like met up with a few people that I ended up not really getting along with, and that's totally fine because you cannot really know how someone's gonna be based on social media. So you have to actually put in the effort to go and meet them and see if they are your vibe or not, and if they're not, that's fine as well. The friend that I'm gonna see today, I actually also met him through social media because I had a phase where I wanted to be a photographer, and as I wanted to be a photographer, I put out that I wanted to have people to shoot with, and he was one of the people that said like, hey, I'm interested in shooting with you. So we met up through that kind of like little hobby that I had, and we've been friends ever since, and he's like a close friend of mine. I also don't have that many friends, so that's something else in my 20s, well, throughout my whole life, but especially in my 20s, is that I realized that having a few of those friends that are like your ride or die, no matter the distance, because most of my friends are long distance, no matter the distance, they are there for you. And I've always been a low maintenance friendship type of girl. I cannot be a high maintenance friendship type of girl. I cannot be talking to you every day. I cannot like keeping up with your daily life. I'm the type of girl that you're gonna meet up, have dinner with, and we're gonna like talk about everything we've like been doing for the past few months that we've been going through. And we do that like in an actual dinner face to face, and not like through calls the whole time or chatting the whole time, because I just cannot do that. I have my priorities, and that's something that you're gonna learn in your 20s, that you're not gonna be having time to just be chatting with your friends all the time, because you're gonna be working, you're gonna be tired, you're gonna be like prioritizing yourself, maybe your relationship, your family. You're gonna be prioritizing a lot of things which doesn't involve constantly being connected with people, because that's gonna exhaust you. And there's people that are not gonna understand that. There's friends that not gonna understand why you're not asking them to hang out every day, why you're not asking them how they're doing every day. And for some people that's fine. For some people they're like, I'm I'm happy doing that. Like, I'm happy keeping up with that. But for me, that's definitely not the case. And I know that a lot of people have also struggled with friendships where they feel like the other person wants them to be there with them 24/7 and you just cannot be. And that's something you realize as an adult, that that's just something that you cannot be doing. That's just something you do not have really, I'm babbling, that you just don't really have the time for. And I'm sidetracking a little bit on the question, but how are you gonna make new friends in a new environment? That's something that I have experienced as I've been doing work abroad in a city that I am not familiar with, where I don't really know people with. And how I did that my first time when I was in Barcelona is I actually was single at the time, and I figured new city, new me, new vibes, new energy, and I want to be starting dating. But not necessarily dating, but I felt like that was an easy way in for me to also meet up with people and just be friends. And I was kind of very clear. I was on Tinder and I was kind of very clear about that. I would just wanted to meet up with people to explore the city and not really date. And if it ended up in like more of a romantic connection, that's fine with me as well. But I made sure from the start that they knew that that was not what I was looking for. And that's kind of how I went through 3 months of social interaction. And did I make any friends out of it? I don't think so, because they ended up like either not being the type of people that I hang out with, or I ended up like kind of being in a romantic thing with them. And now that I have a boyfriend, I definitely don't keep up with that. I did make friends in Lisbon though, where I was like starting my photographer stuff, and I also used Tinder to reach out to people to be like, hey, I am looking for people to make pictures with, and are you up for that? I'm not looking for dating. And that's also how I made a few friends that I kept around while I was in Lisbon. So that's one way to do it, but I know that the internet is a scary place, dating apps are a scary place. I would definitely not encourage you to do it the way that I did it. For me personally, I kind of like know how to navigate myself like by myself, so I'm like less scared that I'm gonna meet someone that's gonna like be taking advantage of me or like doing weird things of me. I can kind of like feel that vibe before I even meet them. So that's the way for me that I did it. But on the other hand, I also use social media to reach out like, hey, is anyone in Barcelona or in Lisbon that wants to like meet up, be friends? There's those two ways that I did it. Another way was that I actually, through one of the people that I met through the dating site, he invited me to a party, and through that party I started kind of networking. And I've never been the type of person that does networking, but I did that at the party to just be out of my comfort zone, because that's the reason why I go abroad and live by myself, is to go out of my comfort zone. So I started networking, and that's also how I kind of connected. I got like a few connections, and then later on in the days I was like, hey, we met at the party, remember, do you want to like go and take some pictures or like do something? And that's also a way to do it. And you can either make friends out of it, and it's also possible that you do not, but like don't take it too hard if there's not a friendship coming out of it. And these are kind of the ways that I did it. I am too introvert to be going to a cafe and just start talking to the person next to me. I would never just be sitting somewhere and just start talking like, hey, I see that you're also sitting alone, what are you in the city for? I'm never the type to do that. There's people that approach me and talk to me in that way, but I'm not comfortable to do that myself. And that's really something that you either can choose to go out of your way and like put yourself out there and do it, or that you're like me and you're kind of like closed up like that. But I'm gonna go to Barcelona again for 5 months from June till October. This time I'm in a relationship, which means that I cannot actually be dating and making friends that way. So I do have to actually find a way to make friends, and I'll keep you guys updated on how that goes. So that's my very long 2 cents on making friendships and making friends last in your 20s, kind of. Then someone else asked, any idea how to be more productive on daily life? Most times I just don't want to do any, and that's okay. Like, I have a lot of days where I just don't feel like doing anything. I just need to rest up, so I just taking my naps, watching series, and not be that productive. But there has to be a balance, and that balance is all with the mindset. So how bad do you want to be productive, if you get what I mean? If you feel like today you have the energy and you want to have a productive day, start the day well. Have a good breakfast, or get yourself a good drink that you enjoy. Like for me, that is like matcha. I like to drink matcha. I start my day with a good matcha. I start the day with cleaning my face, brushing my teeth, and then I have a few things that I want to be productive in. So for example, I want to do laundry, then I do my laundry. I want to like make my room neat, so I organize my room. I want to like clean the house, so I do that. I want to edit vlogs, I make sure to have like a kind of like a small list of things that I want to do, and whenever I check off one of those things, I feel productive and it energizes me to be even more productive during that day. But for me, it's definitely like a planning type of thing. So I plan which day do I want to be productive and which days can I be slacking off or be lazy or be chilling. Throughout the week, I work a 9 to 5. Those are the days that I'm typically more chill, more in the evening. I just have my dinner and I just sit on the couch, on my phone, whatever. And then on the days that I have off, like the full day off, I'm like, okay, that is the day for me that I'm gonna be productive. That's the day I'm gonna plan a few things. I make a little list. What do I want to get done? Even if I get only 2 or 3 things done, it's still a productive day for me. So don't take it too hard for yourself. How productive are you? Like, that's already productive enough. If you just like do your laundry, get up, wash your face, that's already productive enough. But it's all about the mindset yet again, and how you're gonna like schedule your day, how you're gonna make yourself feel good about your day in order for you to be productive. I have to go now, so I will answer a few more questions after I come back from dinner. And yeah, I'm excited to eat. Yum, 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 yum. Look what I got. Matcha Kit Kat, all the way from Japan. Very soothing as we're at a Japanese restaurant. And we're also drinking tea. Got the flowers.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Marco. Our ramen balls. Yum 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 yum.
Yeah, you're that girly girl right now. With the,
yeah, pink, my pinks.
yeah. Not just Wednesdays.
Yum yum yum. Hij is wel echt lekker trouwens. A little life today, laat het gewoon in een satisfying way, zeg maar. We're having tea and dessert at a new place. Altijd die.
Yeah, I get so alright.
Yum.
Here we go. Good?
A lot of cream, but
How citrusy is the citrus?
very lemony, very citrusy, super citrusy.
On a scale of 1 to 5 lemons.
3.5 lemons.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we need the full experience. So we need a little bit of the blueberry too, a little bit of the bastogne.
He fancy with it. The bastogne. a whole bite.
What?
How many lemons?
I expected it to be more lemony. So like, I would give like 2.5.
Very critic. Very critic.
But still good.
Approved. This is where we're gonna part our ways for now. Until next time. Look at him with the flowers, so cute.
Before Barcelona.
Birthday flowers. Bye! I'm home again and I want to finish a few of the questions that you guys still had. And I know I've already been talking way too much, so if you're still here and still listening, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So the next few questions are more about relationships, romance, that kind of thing. The first one is, how do you know he's the right one from your point of view? So it's kind of hard to really like know if someone is the one if you just met them, because if you just meet someone, they are most likely gonna be the one for you in your head. For me, I like to keep it kind of realistic. I start dating someone and I start like noticing their behavior and their personality and all that, and I just based on that see if they are a match for me, because you can meet someone, you can have a good time with them, but your values and all that do not align. And for me, I feel like that has to align in some way for you to be compatible and for you to know that if someone is the one. It's kind of funny that I'm answering this question in the current state of my life that I am right now, because I am actually currently with a boyfriend and I do feel like he is the one in the sense of the one I'm gonna end up with, having a family with, and all that stuff. And also, since we're both 28, you have to look at life a little bit more serious when you start a relationship with someone, because we both are like, if we're gonna start a relationship right now with each other, then that's most likely gonna be our last one, because we do want the whole little marry family thing, and we feel like this is also the age where we want to do that. So if we do not match well, then we should not be wasting each other's time. So basically, we have kind of already decided that this is our path, meaning that we're already thinking about where we're gonna live together and gonna get married or gonna have kids, and like in which time span we want to do that. And in that sense, I kind of feel like I did find the one. But the feeling that you get with knowing if someone is the one is basically just feel very good about that person. You don't feel like there's a lot that is holding you back from being in a relationship with that person. And there's just a specific feeling that you feel towards a person like that, and a certain mindset that you have towards your relationship, which you will probably not have with someone that you don't feel like is the one for you. And if you have too many doubts, then I also already feel like that's definitely not going to be the one for you. The next question is, why does Big Sis has no boyfriend? So I'm assuming that this person is not aware that I have a boyfriend, which I do. I have been dating for a year, and I do not display that on my social. My camera ran out of battery, but I was answering the question about why does Big Sis has no boyfriend, and I actually do have a boyfriend, and I mention him sometimes, but I do not really post about him. So I feel like if you don't follow all my content, you will probably think that I have no boyfriend, but I actually do. So there's that. Then the next question is, my boyfriend loves me but has this weird feeling that he might fall out of love. What to do? So if you feel like someone might be falling out of love with you, it means that there's a certain behavior that you have started noticing. And what I would do if you have that kind of feeling is honestly just talk it out with your person. Like communicate about it, like, hey, I've been noticing this and this, and let's just be honest with each other. Are you falling out of love, or what is exactly going on? Because there could be something else, and if you do not communicate about it, then you will also never know, and there's also not really a point in just staying silent and trying to assume things or start assuming things instead of just talking it out. That's, I think, a very important thing you want to have for your relationship, is you know how to communicate well if you feel a certain way, and also that you feel safe to say that to your person, because you don't want to be in a relationship where you cannot talk about your feelings and talk about things that you are noticing. And if the other person is not gonna perceive that well, then let's be real, that's a red flag. So just talk about it with your boyfriend, and also be realistic about a relationship. If that person is in fact falling out of love with you, then that might just be it. Like, there's no point in holding on to someone that's not falling, or there's no point in holding on to someone that's not really in love with you. And it's also not the end of the world to break up. I feel like nowadays on social media, that's kind of like the sentiment that if you're not in a relationship, that your life is basically over, which is not the case at all. From personal experiences, I have been doing very well on my own, and I feel like I've made the most growth in personality and all that by being on my own and not being dependent on another person. I've been single for a lot of years, and I feel like that's the years where I really had the opportunity to really explore what I like, what I don't like, what my personality is like, if I'm handling situations well on my own, and all those type of things. So yeah, that's kind of my advice. Just talk it out with your person, and if it ends up being something that's just not gonna work out in a relationship, then you should be okay with letting it go. Feel all the emotions that you're feeling, cry it out, pick yourself up, and know there's something waiting for you when the time is right. So those were basically the questions that you guys asked me, and I want to wrap this very long video up with my last little timeline about my 20s so far, to just give you guys a little perspective on how I've been living, and that there's really no rush in trying to live your life in your 20s, if that makes sense. So as you guys already know from the start of this video, I did college early 20s, so let's say 20 till 24. Then between 24 and 25 I started my full-time job, which I'm currently at. Around 27 I scaled down on working 40 hours, so I went back to 36 hours. And as I am right now, I'm just working a full-time job and doing part-time content creation next to it, and a little bit of modeling. And I think like the most significant parts within my 20s were parts where I felt like I had a lot of growth in how I am and how I navigate life. And that's definitely around a few different ages. So around 23 I actually lost someone in my life that I had known briefly due to something that I did not see coming at all, and that had such an emotional impact on me that I feel like that's significant to me being more emotionally aware with my friendships, with my family, and just with everything in general. Before my 23rd birthday I was very distant emotionally. I was just always present, I was always there, but there was not really an emotional connection between my family and my friends, because I never really talked about myself or my problems or whatever I was going through. And then when that happened, it made me realize that I should open up a little bit more. Life is short, and that's when I became a lot more emotionally available, I guess. That's the first thing in my 20s where I felt like that was a big impact. Then the second one was when I was 25 or 26. And that's when I went to Barcelona by myself to live for 3 months. And that was a whole new experience for me, because that's when I also started dating, which I never really had done before. I had relationships, but I never really loosely dated. And that really gave me new perspectives on how I navigate when I'm dating someone, and what I like, what I don't like. And also I learned to live on my own in a country where I'm not familiar with the people, so I had to really go out of my comfort zone. And I feel like that also grew me as a person a lot, which is definitely already mid-20s. So that doesn't all have to happen early 20s when you start figuring out life. I feel like I'm also, throughout my life, I've never been really turbulent in how I live my life. I feel like now that I'm a little bit older, I'm more comfortable with living a little bit more turbulent. Just like with the dating thing, I only started at around my 26th, which is a little late for some people. Some people start very early with this whole dating thing. I did have my drinking phase starting from 18 till until let's say 23. That's my drinking a lot, partying phase. And then after that I started scaling down. Now I'm more in a, I don't really drink when I go out, but I like the occasional, in Barcelona for example, I like to go for dinner and have a little wine. But I only do that when I'm abroad. I don't do that when I'm in the Netherlands. So that's also something that I started a lot later than most people, which are probably already doing that early 20s or even before that. And then now that I'm 28, I feel like that's the next step in how I grow as a grown-up. Before 28, I think up till 27, I still felt like I was just like a child still. Like I had a lot of freedom, and I didn't really have anything serious going on for me aside from having my own place, which was also at 26. That's when I had my own place for the first time ever. So I never really had that early on. But then now at 28, I'm starting to get into a more serious phase of my life, because now I have a boyfriend and we have future plans, and you start thinking about all those things, and that's a lot more serious. And for other people that could have been something that they already experienced early 20s or even before that, depending on their timeline. I know a lot of people also just get married, have children, all that in their early 20s, and for me that's more of an early 30s kind of thing. And this is already a lot of rambling yet again, but I just want you guys to know what my perspective is on all of this. I feel like a lot of people feel rushed to get things done, to, I don't know, have a successful career by the time they're 25 or something, have their whole life figured out by the time they are mid-20s, and that really doesn't have to be the case. Live your own timeline. If you feel like you're not ready yet, then just don't force it. Don't force it. I feel like I'm now kind of starting to get ready for it. So early 30s is gonna be super exciting for me. I used to think like, how would I feel about aging? How would I feel about turning 30? And I'm now nearing the 30s. And I feel like this is the time where I'm actually living my best life. It was definitely not the time when I was partying and drinking a lot. Like that's fun, but it's low-key child's play. That's like not serious. You don't have to be serious. And at that time I allowed myself to not be serious. But now I'm moving into a phase where I'm like comfortable doing whatever I love, living my life with the people that I love, and having the financial backup to do all that, basically. So yeah, that's all I want to say for now. I think this is like a 30-minute, maybe even longer video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful for some. And now I'm gonna go sit on the couch, watch a series, and enjoy my nights. So yeah, until next time, bye.